Have you been struggling to practice NoFap successfully? I get it. I failed at NoFap for years before I went on to successfully practice it for 3 years straight. That's why in this video, I'm gonna show you why most men fail NoFap and what you can do starting today to fix it fast. So if you want to take your NoFap journey to the next level, this is one video you definitely don't want to miss. Now, the first harsh truth you need to realize is that you're not failing because there's something wrong with you or because you don't have enough willpower, bro. You're failing because you're simply doing NoFap wrong. When you really break it down, most men think that NoFap is simply just about not touching themselves, not watching porn, not giving in to their urges. But that's why they fail. Because it's not about willpower, it's not about streaks, and it's not about counting days, bro. It's more so about rewiring your brain and transforming your life by changing your perspective of what NoFap is and your lifestyle. On top of that, most guys I've talked to about NoFap are trying to use short-term discipline, motivation, and willpower to basically fix a long-term dopamine addiction, which is obviously not easy. I mean, I don't have a specific statistic, but when it really comes down to it, you can probably liken your porn addiction to a drug addiction because porn is a drug and it stimulates your neural pathways in the same way as a drug. So if you've been trying and failing to practice NoFap, don't be so hard on yourself. Practicing NoFap, especially when you don't even have the right perspective that allows you to practice it correctly, is one of the hardest things you can do. Breaking my porn addiction was one of the hardest things I ever did, and I did this around 10 years ago. So if you've been making this mistake, like focusing on resisting the urges instead of replacing the behaviors that causes them, it's no wonder you've been failing. By doing this, you're playing defense in a losing game when you really should be playing offense. Because by the end of this video, you're gonna stop seeing NoFap as a punishment and start seeing it as what it really is: a rebuild, a transformation, a vehicle that's not just gonna help you stop watching porn, but it's also gonna help you rediscover who you actually are. But of course, in order to really start seeing NoFap like this, you're gonna have to acknowledge that up until today, your brain has basically been fighting against you, and it's been winning. But your brain hasn't been winning because it's stronger than you. It's been winning because you've been letting it win, bro, repeatedly, through your very own actions, which are drowning your brain in high amounts of dopamine every time you watch you know what. I'm talking about the actions that have led to where you are today, the actions that have likely led to years of porn use, which obviously over time has fried your brain. Okay, not fried your brain, but fried your dopamine receptors and basically caused them to become desensitized to the normal things in life. I'm talking about things people call boring nowadays, like reading a book, going for a walk, meditating, or just, being in the moment and enjoying it. Because of your addiction, all of these things likely pale in comparison because the feeling you get from you know what is way better. And that constant overstimulation causes everything else to pale in comparison. This is one of the worst effects of your porn addiction. It literally makes you a zombie to everything else besides watching porn. I mean, really think about this, bro. How many times do you think you've watched porn and finished from it at this point? Dozens? Hundreds? Thousands? I mean, seriously, think about that. Because every single time you do that, you're desensitizing your dopamine receptors a bit more, making them feel a bit less, and reducing the quality of your life. So it's no wonder that you keep relapsing, because your brain is going to be chasing that same high again and again and again. And on top of that, of course, society is not helping you, because guess what? You got social media, junk food, and a whole host of other dopamine stimulating activities, which are making the cycle even worse. This is why every time you relapse, it's really not even a mistake at this point. It's just a reinforcement of your brain's wiring. I know it might seem bleak, but if you want to heal, you have to really be honest with where you're at. This is really why you don't want to approach NoFap from the perspective of fighting off the urges, because this is extremely hard. You're basically relying fully 100% on willpower. And how has that worked for you up until this point? Not great, right? So you want to know something you can do that's a lot easier than just using willpower? Learning to reset your dopamine system so you can start enjoying other things in life besides watching porn. Because as I stated earlier, when you repeatedly abuse porn is basically up here and everything else is down here. But imagine if you can flip that. Imagine if you can get everything else to come up here and porn to feel down here. Then it becomes easy to break your addiction. This is where you want to get to. By the way, bro, if you're tired of just watching videos and you really do want lasting results, sign up for my email list to get my free ebook, Your Hero's Journey, or book a private session with me. You can find both links below. Now, just by getting to this point in the video, you're going to be far ahead of most guys who are relying on motivation and willpower to break their addiction and successfully practice NoFap. But honestly, bro, even if you were to do all of this, as you're probably aware, quitting porn is going to leave a giant hole in your life, which most men never fill. This is why most men never really quit porn. And it's also one of the main reasons why you keep relapsing, because you can't just expect to quit porn cold turkey without any idea or plan of what habits you're gonna fill that hole with. Think about it like this. When you quit, not only are you removing your main dopamine source that your brain is basically hooked on, but you're also removing one of your main coping mechanisms that is basically helping you manage your emotions and live your life, even if it's actually just suppressing them. Can you see the house of cards here? I mean, removing something as big as this is going to cause a ton of problems for you, because without your main dopamine source and coping mechanism, you're basically unleashing the floodgates of hell. You're opening Pandora's box here. And you're not just releasing one major issue, you're releasing two major issues. One of them being your dopamine addiction, the other not being able to handle emotional issues correctly. This is obviously going to lead to problems, and it's going to bring up a lot of emotions within you. Things like boredom, restlessness, depression, feeling significantly worse off than before you quit, and the illusion that NoFap isn't working. Because just like any purging phase, it fucking when you first start out, but it gets better. But if you're not prepared for any of this, and you're feeling all of these different types of emotions without trying to do anything new during the process or the next time you go through this, you're cooked, bro. This is why so many men fail at this, and this is why it took me years to actually break free from my own addiction, because I never planned for this phase. But the moment I realized that I had to replace my old habits with new habits that involved training, building, creating, and growing, guess what? All the issues we just talked about went away. And I realized that all those emotions that were coming up were the emotions I had suppressed that whole time I was addicted to porn. I realized that every single time I gave in, I was pushing down parts of myself that wanted to come up. And instead of letting those emotions come up and pass, I stuffed them back down by numbing myself with porn. And this is very likely what you're doing. I basically trained my brain to feed off of porn. So once I stopped giving it what I trained it to want, it was screaming for more. But after I consciously started something new and kept on doing it, despite how shitty I felt, those screams got lower and lower and lower, and it started slowly getting replaced with motivation that allowed me to lock in. This is why the men who succeed at NoFap don't fight their urges. They outgrow them by replacing them with habits that actually benefit their life instead of ruining it. This is the big secret here, guys. This tiny little mindset shift is what separates winners from quitters when it comes to successfully practicing NoFap. Because NoFap isn't about perfection. It's not about recording your streaks or never watching porn again. It's about direction, because when it really comes down to it, the process of NoFap is a journey of trial and error. And contrary to what every other NoFap creator is probably saying, it's okay to relapse, bro. In fact, it's normal. If you went from having a porn addiction and watching it for years to then go and just say, yeah, I'm gonna quit this and quit on the first try successfully, are you even human? It's normal to go through what you're going through, and it is hard to quit. But it becomes a lot easier when you know what to do. Unfortunately though, most men don't know what to do. Most men quit after a relapse because they think it means they've failed. But you only fail at NoFap if you don't learn from your mistakes. So the thing you need to learn here is that every relapse is data, feedback on what triggers you're a slave to. So the next time you relapse, learn from it, because that's what winners do. And they use that knowledge to build new systems around those failures. So get it out of your mind that you're gonna win this battle with guilt, with motivation, with willpower. All of that is great, but it's not what's gonna win you this battle. What's gonna win you this battle is awareness and action over time. When you start seeing your relapses as part of your journey and not steps back, your success is gonna become that much faster. In fact, I'd honestly say your success is inevitable. So now that you know why most men fail NoFap, here's what you can do today to stop relapsing and finally master NoFap. And bro, make sure you do all these steps, because I guarantee you're gonna have a far easier time navigating your NoFap journey compared to someone who does none of these or only some of them. Now, the first step you're gonna wanna do is create a strong enough reason why. And the reason you want to do this, because this is going to set your baseline so that when you're close to failing, or when you even do fail, you're not going to lose motivation. You're going to have a reason for why you're doing what you're doing, why you're suffering so much. Without a strong enough reason why, they may just think, oh, I want to quit porn because it's not great for me, or because they just saw a video on it and saw the benefits of NoFap. That's not a strong enough reason why. Because the moment it gets tough, you're just gonna quit, and it will get tough. Me personally, my reason why, that if I couldn't break my porn addiction, I likely wouldn't be able to live the life I wanted to live. I wouldn't be able to have the business I wanted to have. I wouldn't be able to build the family I wanted to create. I wouldn't be able to see myself as a man that's worthy for the type of woman that I even wanted. And that got me motivated. For me personally, I saw NoFap as my arch nemesis that was standing in the way of me reaching my dreams. And that really pushed me to become better. So figure out a strong reason why for yourself. It should be something that gets you emotional, something that you feel you need to do, not something that is optional. Once you've done this, you want to start identifying your triggers. And when I say triggers, I mean the things that trigger you into feeling those urges, feeling those temptations. Moving forward, every time they come up, document it. You want to be a fucking detective about this, bro. To write down the time, the place, the emotion, and the situation that led to the trigger. And if you relapsed, that led to the relapse. So you want to have a case file on this. Because like I said, the more information and data you have around why you keep doing this, the easier it's going to be for you to look back on this and start taking steps so that doesn't happen again. Third, you're going to need to change your lifestyle, bro. Remember when I said the best defense is a great offense? You have to acknowledge that your current lifestyle is what's allowing you to keep relapsing. So what that means is you need to become someone different if you want a different result. And the easiest way for you to become someone different is by changing your lifestyle. You can do this by doing things like adding new habits, deleting your triggers like we just mentioned, limiting phone time, examining your beliefs, creating ways to consistently take accountability for yourself, and surrounding yourself with discipline. The real thing you need to understand here is that your current lifestyle got you to where you are. So that means you need a new lifestyle to get you to where you want to go. And for most of you, incorporating things like this won't only just help you with NoFap, it'll help your life as a whole. In a way, you should be thanking your addiction right now, because it's brought you to NoFap, and NoFap is what's going to help you level up and break your addiction. Lastly, you're going to want to monitor your progress, bro. Now, I'm not talking about counting days, because in my opinion, the more days you don't relapse, the more pressure you put on yourself to actually not relapse. And I don't want you to be the dude that goes 30 or 60 or whatever amount of days and relapses, and because of that, never wants to start again. So all I'm really talking about here is taking the time to just observe your wins and your losses. I'm not saying every single day, maybe every couple days or once a week. And when you're observing these wins and losses, all you really want to be doing here is seeing what you did right and seeing what you did wrong, and doing more of what you did right and less of what you did wrong. Simple. And the grand payoff of doing all of this, once you build structure, purpose, and awareness, NoFap stops being something you try to do and becomes something you are. This is what happened to me. Like I said, it took me years to get to this point. But once everything clicked together for me, after I was able to incorporate all of this, I never looked back. And practicing NoFap was borderline effortless. I stopped seeing it as a challenge or something I was doing, and I started seeing it as a normal part of my lifestyle. I didn't even think about it anymore, to be honest. In my opinion, because of this, I went on to practice for 3 whole years, where I made a lot of crazy memories and experienced secrets I rarely hear guys talk about today. So if you want to hear more about those secrets, feel free to check out this video next.